If it's good enough weather to ride a motorcycle, we're out. Or if it's fishing weather, pretty much out. So with the exception of all of that, pretty much we're here Monday through Friday, bringing you all the opinions you can stand on the news of the day. That's the best way to say it.
Absolutely.
We offer opinions on the news of the day. So don't confuse us with a news program, because it is not a news program, although we use the news as a starting point for what we're here to talk about. Sitting across from me with his own opinions is Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And sitting across from me is the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler, who often says he has no opinions.
No, I don't. I have no original thoughts. No original thoughts. And I tell you who has some opinions. We hear them sometimes off the air.
Yes, and through text messages.
Right. None other than the queen herself, the super producer, Queen Kawesa.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing okay. How are both of you doing?
Good. Look, we are one day closer to Friday.
Yay!
It's just so interesting, like how your voice has gotten softer throughout the week. I just want to note that. Just every day it's just a little bit softer, a little bit softer. How was the ride in today?
Oh, it was pretty easy. For me, there was hardly any traffic, so that was a beautiful thing. So I got here, a few minutes earlier than I normally would when I leave at this time. So I'm like, okay, yeah, go me. So that was a positive. It's warm outside, but it's not too warm, but I know it's going to be getting up there. So,
Yeah.
I just, I look outside and it's just muggy and, gray, but it's cool. I woke up this morning and doing all right. So, yeah, I'll take it.
Hey, it's actually supposed to be 90 today,
Yeah,
and
it's too
I
hot.
know it's going to be muggy outside. I'm looking at my window right now, and it is completely covered with like dew and everything, from the inside being cool, the outside being hot and muggy. So I got you. Well, thank you, Kwesa. We appreciate that,
Of
and
course.
appreciate you every day.
I was listening to Nick Talafero yesterday, Evening Words with Nick here on WURD.
Hmm.
He and Eric Nixon were talking about the heat.
Yes.
Nick was saying the hottest day that he's ever experienced was, I think, in California, in one of the valleys.
Yeah.
Said it was 112.
Oh, yeah. It's brutal days.
112 degrees.
Yeah. I think I talked about that a couple of days ago about being in Scottsdale, Arizona, in the middle of the heat wave in August, when the company I worked for used to hold their directors' meetings in Scottsdale at that time every year because it was cheap. Because nobody was in Scottsdale, Arizona in the month of August. You would go to the restaurants and they would have sprayers, like spraying water, like misting water all over the place to keep you cool. And it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and people would sit outside, eat their food under the misters, because by the time the water vapor had started to settle down, it had totally evaporated into the air.
That's just ridiculous. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's too hot.
and yeah, Death Valley hit like 130.
Yeah, it's like almost a record or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's just so Philly, it could be worse, but don't worry, it's cooling off next week. It'll only be in the high 80s.
Mm.
Where I grew up in Northern California, people have this, you all on the East Coast have the vision that all of California is hot. So people would visit in the summer with their shorts and their
Oh, yeah.
flip-flops. It's like, what are you doing, bro? You can't rock that here. You know what I mean? Because you need like some warm clothes. So, but nobody has air conditioning in their homes.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
maybe the newer homes do, but like when I grew up, nobody in the Bay Area, unless you lived on the other side of the tunnel, where it's hot. It's hot all the time out there. It gets in the 90s. It could be 90 to 100 degrees 10 miles from Oakland, where it's 70, and then 3 miles over to San Francisco, it's 60. It could be a 40-degree range on a daily basis, in the Bay Area. But when you have these heat waves with climate change, everybody now is starting to understand that, what we used to call Indian summer, which would come in
Right.
like September,
That's right.
October, and get warm, and then it's over. Man, they're having these sustained longer periods of
Right.
heat that are starting, and it's now the summers there are more typical of what you'd expect summer to be. Um, and so, just our little reminder that global warming is real.
Yes.
And just like COVID, just because you say, oh, it's going to disappear, it'll be gone just before you know it. Yeah, take millions of people with it. That's kind of how climate change is, people.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. People in Washington State, like they had 100-degree weather. That was unheard of in Washington. You talk about
Washington.
people that don't have air conditioners, right? Because it never really gets beyond 75. 100, 110 degrees. Washington, Canada got up in the hundreds, over the last month or so. It's actually been very ridiculous in terms of what's happening in the weather. I had to tell a story. So, every year, Faith in Action, our national network for power, held a staff meeting, a big national gathering of staff from across the country. And so one year, this is 2016, my wife and my youngest daughter came out to California to the event with me. We were in Monterey Bay.